Round the Horn edition of Ball Nights. Thundercats tip off T-minus 2 hours. Can I say something without anyone getting mad? I'm kidding. Everybody loves this game. How could you not? 2 best records in the league on 2 win streaks. Let's go. Also, Raiders job opening. Tom Brady will be involved in the hiring process. Anybody connecting dots? Oh, look, Tom Pelissero report. Brady has spoken to Bill Belichick. Could a reunion be in the works in Vegas? Let's go around the horn. Thunder versus Cavs tonight. That's NBA history. Never before have 2 teams played with winning streaks this long. 15 versus 10. Though that comes with a little asterisk. OKC did lose in the Cup final, which they don't count for some reason. Don't get me started on that. By combined win percentage, also way up on the all-time list. Potential finals preview, we say about 10 times a year, but we can say it for this one the old-fashioned way. They earned it. On how big tonight truly is and the number one thing that makes this exciting around the horn, Bob Ryan.
Well, I'm a student of history, and the fact is that the last time that 2 teams met with these combined one-loss records at this point in the season, and never mind the win streaks, the centers were Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yeah. That was in January of 1972. So my interest lies right there in this historic confrontation. And now, when you examine the offensive metrics, they belong heavily to Cleveland. When you examine the defensive metrics, they belong heavily to OKC. So I call this a Johnny Mercer game. And by that I mean, will Cleveland's irresistible force overcome OKC's immovable object? That's my question.
Great question. Another question might be, Johnny Mercer, please expound.
He wrote,
Johnny Most.
Something's got to give. Who doesn't know that?
I know something's got to give for something else, but go ahead. Monica McNutt, around the horn to you on the number one thing that makes this truly exciting.
I agree with Bob, but I also have an eye on the future. I mean, SGA is a young superstar, budding superstar in this league, MVP candidate, runner-up last year. The Cleveland Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell has been a multi-time All-Star in this league, as has Darius Garland. But we keep having this conversation about the changing tide. These 2 organizations are set up to be good, not just this year, but moving forward. They're in great positions. And so I'm really excited. I think the thing that I'm most curious about in terms of the basketball of it all is the Twin Towers and how well Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen have been playing this year versus that defense and the lack of size that you could argue that the Thunder have.
Okay, so you're circling the matchup down low. Emily Kaplan, number one thing you're watching for tonight.
Yeah, you just heard from 2 NBA luminaries, and then you're going to come to me for the hot take. So, with due respect to Donovan Mitchell, I feel like Cleveland is built on depth, and the only world-class athlete in this game is SGA. And I feel like though we're talking about 2 great teams, he's the guy we're going to be talking about tomorrow. He has been an MVP candidate and can build his case with a really great game tonight, especially as Woody's boy Jokic remains sidelined. He had 43 points last time he played Cleveland, but more than that, it's not just the offense, it's the defense. Remember, they're without Chet Holmgren, Alex Caruso, he's not going to play again tonight, and you saw the way that they clamped down against Boston last game. So much of that I feel like is SGA, and because he's Canadian, I'll end it with this. Like, he is a true grinder with a scoring touch, a 200-foot player. I give him a lot of props.
I knew you would somehow make that about getting on the ice. Woody Page, how about you?
He's Canadian.
I want to emphasize, the one thing I'm going to watch is ESPN, because the game's on ESPN. And I got word from Bristol. I better mention that. So I think that that's the most important aspect of tonight's game. And the other aspect of it is you've got the best three-point shooting team in basketball against the team that actually is first against the three-pointer. Yeah. And there's been so much talk recently about the three-point shot. And I know Bob wants to rhyme in on this because he's hated it since its beginnings from the ABA. However, I think that in that situation, if you watch tonight, let's see whether Cavaliers actually can dominate from the three-point line or whether the Thunder is able to actually prevent them from dominating there.
Bob, we were talking before we sat down on if Cleveland is for real, do they need to win this game? Do you believe that after the torrid start they've had? Anyone questioning whether they are for real, do you believe tonight will go anywhere in answering that?
I hate buying into stuff like this. No, I don't think it's got, that's not the point at all. You know, They may have an off night. They may shoot like crazy. We don't know. I mean, nah, I'm not worried about
Monica,
that.
you?
Bob, I don't know. Cleveland does not have to win, but I can't do off nights. Like, both teams need to show up with their best.
You can't do off nights. I like what you're saying.
Because you can, you got to show up tonight. But I will add, though, Cleveland's been great in the pick and roll too, as much as the three-pointer has come up.
All right, who you got tonight, Monica?
I actually think I'm going Cleveland.
Well, why do you say actually? We just had a conversation. It doesn't need to be an actually.
Because my basketball ethos is to go with the better defensive team,
Okay.
and so I'm countering my.
So you're countering yourself. Emily Kaplan, who do you got today?
I like Oklahoma City.
Woody Page?
Honestly, I'm going with Cleveland.
And Bob Ryan.
Monica.
I'll go Cavs, home team.
We'll move on. Football now. Las Vegas Raiders parting ways with Antonio Pierce after one full season, 4-13. GM Tom Telesco staying on after one full season, 4-13. What's next for the franchise is interesting because it's been reported Tom Brady will be part of the head coach hiring process, and that sets the table for this. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero is posting multiple NFL teams have inquired about whether Bill Belichick would reconsider his move to UNC, go for an NFL job this offseason, and that the Raiders were one. Specifically, Brady spoke recently with Belichick. Kaboom! This is a big headline. The Athletic's Diana Rossini reporting this afternoon now. Bill Belichick has no plans to return to the NFL per her sources, that she's told sole focus is coaching and recruiting for UNC, and that he's actually recruiting today in New Jersey. So that right there is two sides to a story. Emily Kaplan, which do you prefer is true, and what's your read on this?
Well, I always prefer to believe Diana. And I also like to believe people at their word, like when Bill Belichick sat down at the UNC press conference and said, I did not come here to leave. I know the Jets also want to believe that, and then he resigned after a day in 2000. So, we're there. We always knew that $10 million buyout that he'd have to pay if he went back to the NFL. That really means nothing in terms of NFL money. I'm just curious, what has changed, Tony? Because clearly him and his agent did due diligence on the NFL market before they took this job and said there weren't any opportunities there. That said, we all know Netflix is trying to take over the sports world, so maybe it was that roast of Tom Brady that brought these two together and got kumbaya.
I see what you're saying, yes. But so the reporting is here that while teams have maybe called Belichick, it wasn't that Belichick was calling teams. That's what. Woody Page, around the horn to you.
I want to go David Dennis Jr. on you, and you can deduct 500 points from me if there's any chance whatsoever that he goes to the Raiders.
Very
that is not happening. Yeah. I mean, if he were interested in an NFL job, he would have waited a couple of months, and he would have had an opportunity at 5 or 6 different jobs, I think, this time around. But he's not going to go there. He's on Twitter. He's on Blue Sky. He's tweeting about recruiting and how much he's enjoying the barbecue restaurants in North Carolina. High school coaches are talking about him sitting down for an hour with him talking football. He is really in a happy mode right now. He's not going to go to the Raiders. And if he did, he'd have to bring back Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator. And that circle of life is gone.
Bob Ryan, around the horn to you.
The only way I could see him doing it because he thought someone had opened the door for him to have a chance to catch Shula. He left with one unfulfilled goal, and that was being the all-time winningest coach in NFL history. The other thing that strikes me here is that I was under the strong impression that Brady was very happy when he left New England to get away from Belichick. Maybe now not having to play for him would be a difference, but that aspect surprises me.
Monica McNutt.
Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but the key, or a key, you could argue, to Belichick's success in the league was this really great quarterback who's now part of this ownership group. And last time I checked, the Raiders' strength is not necessarily their quarterback play. So I don't even see why this is enticing to Bill Belichick. Yes, Tom Brady might be a guy that you won a lot with, but in a completely different role. To me, go ahead and create a new chapter, a new legacy. Figure it out with UNC and the Tar Heels.
That'll be the last word. Scoring down and around the horn in 2025. Page 5, Kaplan 8, McNutt 9, Ryan 10. Take a break right here by yourself, man.
That was some of my best stuff.
Welcome back to Around the Horn, coming to you from the Seaport. Brought to you by Grey Goose.
Check this out. Players vote via the NFLPA on who they'd select for All-Pro. QB1, Lamar Jackson over Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and Mahomes and Goff and Darnold, etc. Chew on that for a second as we listen to Lamar Jackson after practice yesterday.
Yeah, I just be too excited. That's all, too antsy. Like, I'm seeing things before it happen, like, I got to calm myself down. But just being more experienced, I found a way to balance it out.
That was in response to a question about playoff struggles. So Lamar putting his playoff struggles on being too antsy. Woody, how do you hear that? And if he can say it and name it and know it, can you expect him to be better this time?
Well, he is 2-4 in the playoffs, but he came close last year and almost beat Kansas City. I think in his maturation of that now he realizes it's not all on him. He's got a running game that he can depend on, a great defensive team there, and I think he was trying to overdo it for years, and now he's playing within himself. I think he's absolutely right. I think he's honest about it.
Emily Kaplan?
Yeah, he turned 28 yesterday. This to me sounds like a mature person that's taking accountability. But I get why he felt that way in the past. Like, as Woody outlined, he had to be the leading rusher, and he had no receiving options. And luckily, that's now all changed.
Monica McNutt.
Maturity, man. Experience is sometimes our best teacher. And after a stellar year like this, another stellar year, might I add. I mean, the guy's already got 2 MVPs. His confidence should be at an all-time high. And being able to call out the mistakes of the past propel you to do better in the future.
Bob Ryan, how about you?
You want to believe him or you don't want to believe him. I want to believe him. I want to believe this is exactly how he feels. And by the way, it's the one thing that I've been looking forward to in the entire weekend of all these games is how Lamar Jackson is going to play to silence the critics.
This game is important, but it's the game after this game and the game after that game, honestly, if we're going to be truthful about it. But he has built up some scar tissue, which is something I know you have all had said in the past at some point that you appreciate in your athletes when they acknowledge that. We'll move on. Buy or sell two. The end of Jazz Hawks last night.
Sexton for the tie. Oh! Hawks don't have a timeout. Trey from midcourt to win it.
It's an awesome finish. 50-footer to win a game. That's tied for the 5th longest game-winning buzzer beater in the last 40 years plus. Look at that list. 24 points, 20 assists for Trae Young in the game. That's huge. Monica, what was the best part of Trae Young's night?
Man, I think I'm looking at the big picture. The shot was fantastic. I take nothing away from that. But in the big picture, I think it's the buy-in from Trae Young in terms of this young, well, he's surrounded by some young pieces in Atlanta.
Young.
Quinn Snyder got that 5-year, $40 million deal. He's not going anywhere. The rosters of the past 5 conversation.
Yes, well, there's a top 100 in the NBA right now. Emily Kaplan, how about you?
Yeah, I don't care who came up with it first. Both him and Chelsea's Cole Palmer really pull off the celly. But he leads the league right now in assists, and it's not particularly close. Tyrese Haliburton has 100 less. So this is what it looks like when you finally have that supporting cast around him. And it was addition by subtraction. DeJounte Murray was like, who is the point guard? Now you know he's in full control of this team.
Woody Page.
The two ladies are talking about the players surrounding him, but I want to talk about Quinn Snyder. I think he's had a major influence on the game that Young has developed. I watched him a week and a half ago against the Joker, and they were assist per assist against each other. I think he can average 15 assists a game because now he's developed that part and he knows he doesn't have to shoot 50-footers to win a game, that he can get 20
But
assists.
he did hit one last night, Bob Ryan,
that'd be more.
in history. You've seen some game-winning shots from distance before. You ever see a 50-footer before?
Of course I have, and as a matter of fact, they are luck, and I'll tell you how I know, because I made one. I made one at the end of the first period against Pennington Prep, made the score 19-7 instead of 17-7, and so I'm telling you, anybody can do it.
Sure.
The real big I mean it. I'm very, very, very serious. But the big thing is 24-20. The 20-20 club is very rare. It's very exclusive. It's very distinguished, and this young man has my attention this year. He's having a tremendous
Young. It's forever young. An all-time list that has Dr. J on it and Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, who I love just that he's on this list, Max Strus and Devontae Graham, and now Trae Young. That's a pretty great list to be on, just for fun names. We'll move on. Buy or sell 3. Heat 114, Warriors 98 last night. This was gross for Golden State. Here's Steve Kerr after.
I expected better energy. I think we're suffering from a crisis of confidence right now, frankly. You can see it, you can feel it.
Bob, how do you hear crisis of confidence here, Golden State?
Well, he's always been a man of words after press conferences. He's very pensive. He can say whatever he wants. The simple fact is he's coach of an average team. Their record reflects who they are. I know the old Parcells thing, which I don't usually believe in, but I believe in it this time. Their record is who they are. They're not going to go anywhere of any consequence this season. He has to live with this. The team's not that great.
Monica McNutt, how do you hear crisis of confidence?
I hear that as a gentle way of get your crap together because like what? Look, the thing about coaching is you have to be able to maximize who you have available. And to Bob's point, this roster is just not as stout as you're accustomed to seeing from the Warriors. Now, be that as it may, a conversation about effort is about a level of professionalism. But I remember having a similar conversation about this team last year.
Emily Kaplan.
Yeah, Monica, like sometimes I wonder who's the second best player on this team behind Steph, and I think his stat line the last 2 games is so telling. 57 points, 0 assists. It's the first time in his career he's put up 0 assists in back-to-back games. Wow. That's the state of the Warriors.
And Woody Page.
I'd like to make 6 points here, Tony. I think number one, that it's not crisis, it's chaos of confidence. Is what they got. They got a lousy team. Their schedule at the beginning of the season was misleading. They were 12-3. That's because they were playing dog teams at the beginning of the season. Now they're playing contenders.
Okay.
Number 3. I think that you got Kerr in a situation where he's just overreacting to everything that happens there. Number 4, their trading, their drafting has been awful. Number 5, Draymond Green comes and goes. We don't know whether he's going to play, whether he's going to be on TNT or whatever. I think one more thing that's really important is that Steph Curry has not been able to rally that team with his energy level.
Well, he's tried, right? He's celebrating his threes now, but it hasn't worked. Wow, Woody, you made it there. You got the points you needed. Unbelievable run. Although you did reference their early season record being strong because they didn't play anybody. They did beat Boston, and they did beat Oklahoma City in that.
But they played the Wizards.
Okay, but they did beat Boston, Oklahoma City. Oh, that was so close.
That's tough, Tone.
Yeah. Kaplan, McNutt. Showdown next.
Like David Dennis Jr.
Emily Kaplan, Monica McNutt, good luck in Showdown. The Dallas Cowboys denying the Chicago Bears permission to talk to Mike McCarthy, which puts the button on the story you did for a couple of days. It took a couple of days, but it's a denial from Jerry Jones to Chicago. Emily, what does it mean?
Yeah, remember that rant that Jerry Jones had over the summer? Like, no one can be the GM like I can. You're right, Jerry. Nobody can let all of your important contracts go down to the wire and then find a way to overpay them anyway.
Monica?
It's eye roll, Tony. This is just so Dallas. This is even really a story if it's not in Dallas. January 14th, we'll all be watching.
Professional actor Jerry Jones. You saw him on that show, Landman. He was outstanding. That's all I'm thinking about with Jerry right now. We'll move on. Showdown 2, UCLA men's hoops coach Mick Cronin after a loss last night to Michigan by 19. Take a listen.
Obviously, they shot the ball well. But we don't play. We're soft. It's every day. I have the most energy of anybody at practice every day. I'm upset with everybody in that locker room, my assistant coaches and my players. We got guys that think they're way better than they are. They're nice kids. They're completely delusional about who they are.
Ooh. Monica, fair or foul?
Okay, if I know what I think I know about sports, some version of this has already been said in the locker room, so I'm going to go fair because Mick Cronin is a high-energy guy, and he needs to get his team's attention.
Emily Kaplan?
Oh, major foul. I'm always talking to coaches about how to reach the younger generation, and if he thinks that this is the week to reach Gen Z with the NIL era and the transfer portal, I think he's delusional.
Ooh. I mean, we've heard some bad ones. I remember Rick Pitino last year. Some people thought he went too far. His team went on a 6-game winning streak after, though. We'll move on. Zion Williamson's return after missing 27 games, 22 points, and this 360 dunk. Not the only dunk of the night, of course, so we'll do a dunk showdown. Zion versus LeBron James versus Cooper Flagg. Emily, who you got?
Yeah, it's Cooper Flagg for me. I was dying after the game when John Shire was like, I know I'm biased, but I think he's the best player in the country. Like, I think we all knew that over the summer when he was sinking threes over Anthony Davis, but this was pretty good too.
Monica McNutt?
I'm going Dunk 2 because he's 36 plus 4. He's 40. It's LeBron.
He's 36 plus 4. Monty McNutt,
you know
30 seconds of FaceTime.
Want to send love and thoughts to all of our colleagues on Around the Horn, all of our folks, friends and families that are in the California area. This is an event, the fires, that are impacting real people and sporting events as well. We heard today that Kawhi Leonard is stepping away from his team to support his family and navigate the fires. This is a real thing, and I hope folks hold real space and keep the jokes to themselves as the state of the California navigates these fires, and of course, our country at large looks at how we're treating the world.
Saying that, Monica. On the sports front, Los Angeles Kings game versus Calgary, also postponed in the wake of that. Taking a break, 23.5 hours. We'll see you tomorrow around the horn.